your wedding day. Such memories. Your smiling face, the love in her eyes, promising of a lifelong journey of understanding and support. So what the fuck happened? You out the house, she got the car, and you're recovering on your homeboy's couch, or even worse, in your parents' basement. Life after marriage is not something most men are prepared for. Many don't even talk about the issues that affected what was supposed to be one of the best things that ever happened. What now? How does your life start over? It's time to talk about it. The Lame Show starts now.
Welcome to the Lame Show. We are back. We are your hosts, Daniil, Drew, Kier, Goran, and Jamal.
Yes, sir.
All right, we're back with another exciting episode. Today we have a guest. We have Fernie from the Dad Lives Matter podcast. Love this guy's energy. How I met Fernie was I was scrolling through TikTok. And I came across one of his videos telling me stop scrolling, and I did.
You listened.
I listened, followed instructions pretty well. And he was just talking about something like, dads don't ask questions. They just figure it out. Like, we just figure it out.
Yeah.
We don't have a choice.
Yeah.
And at the day I was going through some shit, man, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. I was like, yo. And I kept scrolling through, and his message was pretty consistent, and I invited him to talk to us, and, here we are.
Welcome to the Lame Show, Fernie.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us, man. Thank you.
Fernie,
man.
what's up, brother?
Your energy.
Welcome back. Welcome back.
See you guys.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I see your podcast is growing. I think, what are you up to, 11 episodes now? 11, 10, 11?
I think so, man. We've been struggling, bro. We're really struggling right now, so we're falling pretty far behind, but that's just part of the path you got to take.
Yeah. The work is it's work. Putting a podcast together consistently is a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially when you have a team, it's hard.
Yeah,
it's not easy.
Definitely hard. But
trust.
What else is hard? The separation that you have with your children when your marriage ends.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of us, especially the men at this table, have that experience. And
yeah, man,
I'll speak on my own. Like when the relationship comes to an end, you don't want it to end the relationship with your children, but it does alter it because your children are used to seeing you in the household. They're used to you putting them to bed. They're used to just being able to just go downstairs and see you. Now you have to protect their experience. You know that your child is going to grow up differently than the way that you grew up, but you know they're not going to be in the home. So I wanted to ask you, what were some of the things that you feared when you knew the relationship with your children was going to be altered?
That's a good question, man. I don't know about you guys, but here's my thing, man. My whole background is sales, right? That's my whole background. My whole experience is sales. I've been in sales my entire life. That's just what I do. And one thing about sales is you're always thinking ahead. You're never thinking during and you're never thinking behind. You're always thinking ahead,
That's
right?
a fact. Mm-hmm.
So you're always one step ahead, right? You're always expecting like, hey, if I say jump, you say how high, right? You're kind of set people up. And I think my entire life I've been like that just by default. And so for those of you guys, a lot of people don't know my background, but I was still co-parenting with baby mom. We were still living together, which meant that I was still able to come home and see my kids every day. But I knew it was going to end, right? Because that was our agreement. Our agreement was once the baby goes to school, you got to part ways, right? And so I wanted to be ahead of the game. And a big factor that I did was I build, instead of like being angry and all that shit that comes with, separation and all that, I really tried focusing on my relationship with baby mom. So I knew that when the time came, we wouldn't have as much struggles, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So I prepped myself basically. Like I was, all right, let's get ahead of the game, and let's, so I don't have to focus. I don't have the fear of like, fuck, man, once I leave, there's gonna be my bad, man. Is this what's the language on here?
No, you're good. You're good. Open forum, bro.
We're grown
Fuck
men.
is okay.
Nobody cusses more than me.
There you go. So I was like, shit, man, I better be ready. Right. And my biggest thing is no matter what, man, no matter how I prepped, no matter how ready I was, her and I weren't going to agree to a lot of things. So I wanted our foundation to at least be the same, right? Like no matter what you and I go through, no matter what shit we go through, we're going to raise our kids the same, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Right.
So I prepped myself that way.
Did you also prep her?
I mean, my separation's got to be the same as a divorce, man. You can't, you can try to prep them, but you know, I tried my hardest to prep her. I tried my hardest to prep myself. I tried my hardest to prep my kids. But no matter what you do, man, you know, in life, it has its own course.
Yes.
So you can do whatever you want. You just got to learn to adjust. And so I tried prepping everybody. It didn't work the way I wanted it to, and we're readjusting. You know what I mean? But the whole point of that whole spiel was to say, like, the foundations, like, what's the most important thing, right? Like, you guys are all dads, we're dads. Like, what's the most important thing? Like, what are the things that you really want your kids to walk away from at the end of the day? And those were the main focuses during the separation. The rest of it, I was like, you know what? I'll fucking figure it out. We'll adjust, you know? But it does suck, man. Like, now I come home 50% of the time and my kids aren't here. But because I was able to not fix our relationship, that wasn't the case, but I was able to really communicate. I can stop by there anytime I want to see the kids.
Right.
So that's a big, you know, that helps a lot.
Yeah, I have a similar, you know, relationship with my ex. You know, and I think one of the things that we did when we were initially, you know, going down that path to divorce is our main focus wasn't money. It wasn't the house. It wasn't, you know, those things. It was the lifestyle my daughter was accustomed to and trying to at least maintain that, you know, for her sake. And it was both of our main concern. Like it wasn't anything other than that. Like we don't want, and my daughter was young at the time. So I think that was helpful. She was only like 3 years old. You know, when that, you know, kind of separation happened. But we've overall, you know, we do get in our little spats here and there, and we do, and my daughter does see that. She's 12 now, but you know, and it's to happen, you know what I mean? But at the same time, you know, she has a very comfortable, you know, relationship, you know, with the two households and both with me and her mother. So and
there's two things you said there, bro. And on one of the things, it's like, it wasn't about my lifestyle anymore. It was about our daughter's lifestyle.
Correct.
And that's a big deal. And I think that's a whole different subject. We can talk about that later, but that's the way to look at things when we talk about child support.
Yes.
Because people want to fight when it comes to child support. Like, but the whole point of child support for me, everyone's different. I don't want to, you know, piss anyone off, because child support is like, people were ready to throw hands for that, you know? So, you know, with child support, it's like, that was a big thing. It's like, how can we maintain our kids' lifestyle? You know, so that was a big one, man. So I actually really love that. And you're right. Like, no matter how hard we try to be cool with each other, dude, there's times where I still want to drop kick my baby mama.
Don't worry, we're gonna edit that out.
I love her, man. You know, she's my kid's mom. I'm always gonna love her. You got to love your baby's mom, man. They gave you one of the best things in the world.
Absolutely.
But there is times where I'm like, damn, you know, I rated John Cena her, right? But at the end of the day, it's like the cool thing about that though, too, man, it lets our kids know that, hey, no one's perfect, man. Can you get over that though? Are we able to walk away from it? Are we able to learn something from it? You know, like that's a big deal.
I noticed with upbringing has a lot to do with meeting in the middle on co-parenting, like with the mother of my children. I don't say baby mama. I say the mother
baby
of
mama.
my children.
Right. I love that one. That's way better.
Yes.
I should have learned how to adapt to that one.
She didn't do as much as I did as a child. You know, she was kept inside a lot more. Like, she didn't do Little League. She didn't do dance class. She didn't go to sleepaway camp and things like that. And a lot of that is hard for her to accept, that maybe that might be good for a kid. You know, so how do you get past the difficulties when your upbringings are so different?
Damn, that question hurt me. Uh that's tough, man. I don't know that one. That's. I mean, I don't know any answers, right? I'm just going off experience, right? Like that's
Right.
what we do, right? We go off
Yeah.
experience. Um, I don't know the answer to that. That one's really, really, really tough because I grew up. My kid's mom, she grew up in a very great family,
Okay.
right? Dad was there, mom was there. They sat at the table and ate. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So my upbringing was so different, right? My whole past, I was in foster care, gang related. You know, I'm a ex heroin baby. The list
Oh.
goes on, right?
Yeah.
So there's just so much, and there was a lot of times we just didn't really click
Mhm.
because I was so far left and she was so far right that some things I was just like, no, don't do that because this shit hurts. I remember this feeling,
Yeah.
right? And then she's on the other side where she's like, no, it's not that big of a deal, right?
Mhm.
Or education to her is huge. Education to me wasn't a big deal, and I'm learning to adapt. You know,
Right.
so I don't know the answer to that. I think if I was to take a shot at it though, and you know what you're thinking, or let me know what you guys think. But if I was to take a shot at that, it comes down to compromise, right? Like, what are you guys willing to compromise? And it's got to go both ways, right? That's got to be the biggest thing. But that's a tough question, man. You stopped me on that one. The only thing I can think of is just it's compromise.
Yeah.
What I also find is that a lot of dads that I've spoken to, they're able to control themselves when the argument is happening. I hear a lot of dads saying not in front of the kids more than the moms. Have you ever had to say, like, get to a situation where he's like, not in front of the kids, like, yo, calm your voice, just lower your voice, calm down.
Yeah.
The worst thing you can say is calm down.
Don't say that.
Before
Yeah,
he
don't
answers,
do
before he answers, I'm gonna snitch on the guys. When we say not before the kids, we trying to think of some shit to say
That's our break. That's
to get us out of trouble.
No, well, for me, it's like not in front of the kids. I'm serious, like not in front of
I
the
need to
kids.
think of
Nah, for me, I'm saying not in front of the kids because I want to approach it with a cooler head later
Yeah.
on. I mean that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's from my experience. I don't see that a lot.
Okay.
I really don't. I don't see a lot of dads actually doing that.
Oh, okay.
I'll be honest, man. I was the opposite. You know what I mean? But it is something I'm embarrassed to talk about, but it's the truth, right? We got to be transparent. Like, I grew up in the streets. You know, you fix your problems now. Like, I don't have time to walk away. Like, we got to fix this situation now because I have a problem. You have a problem. Let's freaking fix it, right? And that's something that I really had to learn to adjust and not be like. So you're talking years of therapy. My kid's mom was awesome at that. She would actually, what she would do that was really good, and I give her a lot of love for it. She would just let me blah, 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 and then kind of like, all right, calm down, you know? And then she'd be like, hey, not in front of the kids. And it would hit me. I was like, damn, she's right. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want my kids to see this. This is the
Yeah.
shit I grew up with. And so I had to check myself. So it was actually the other way around in my household. And for the people I know, it was that way. I can get aggressive. So it's something that I actually had to learn.
I mean, Fernie, from just following you on TikTok and catching a lot of your podcasts, you know, you talk about your childhood and how traumatic it was, its experiences. One question I have for you is, how has fatherhood changed you, or changed who you are now?
Yeah, bro.
Adversity, resiliency, all that stuff.
That is, I almost want to cry just thinking about that question, bro.
It's okay. We cry on the Lame Show. I've
Yeah,
cried.
yeah.
I've cried a few times on the Lame
This
Show.
is powerful stuff, man.
For
Yeah,
sure.
for sure.
This is a big one, man. This is a lot of feelings come up when you ask this question, and then it goes from all over the place. I'll tell you this, man, and I don't know if you guys felt it, and I'll never, ever, ever forget this. I remember when my son was born, at the time, because I have two baby moms, right? So my first baby mom, we weren't together, you know, and I was at the hospital, And the whole time it was just this whole fight, the whole situation, which they have all the rights, right? Her family wasn't too happy. She came from a really good family. She got the guy that, your family doesn't really want you with, right? And so the whole process was just really shitty situation. And the moment that I had my baby, man, I don't even know how to explain this, man. And let me know if you guys felt this, because I know I'm not the only one, but this freaking weight came off my shoulders, right? Like all this like anger and all this like was gone, right? And I saw my baby, and I just remember crying, just pouring my eyes, just bawling. And the last time I had cried before that, you're talking almost 10 years earlier from when my brother passed away. So I had held in all these emotions, you know what I mean? And then I had my son, and just everything came out, man. All this weight, I just felt light. And all of us got along. All of a sudden, it wasn't about me. It wasn't about them. It wasn't
just
about
that baby.
It was just about that baby.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
It's all for you guys.
Bro, you touching a nerve now. You about to make me cry.
Hell yeah, man.
First time I laid eyes on my daughter, man, like talk about unconditional love, which Drew said.
Yeah, Drew said
man, I never ever felt that much in love with someone ever.
Bro,
just seeing
right
my
there.
child for the first time.
But here's the thing though, the same feeling you had of it's not about me, it's about that baby. I think that's what people who are separating and divorcing need to go into when they're getting divorced and separated. That it's not about you,
I agree.
it's about the child, it's about the kids.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
And once we as adults do that, it makes the whole co-parenting thing way, way easier.
Fully agree
does.
with you, Drew.
Yeah, definitely agree to, because that when you're separating and divorcing, that situation is a powder keg, because it can go left so quickly. Like when it comes to my kids, I don't claim to be a thug. I'm not a gangster. I can become one when it becomes to and I definitely will when it comes to my children. And and then it don't matter if it's family, friend, or foe. I'm gonna treat you all the same. If you're trying to deny me from my kid. So when you have those differences with the mom, she could be viewed as someone that's trying to keep your kid away from you. And that's where the situation goes left very quickly for some fathers. For myself, I always say use the court system in its as much as you can. And for those fathers that don't go after their kid, I say this. If your kid was kidnapped and it took you 2 years to walk there, would you do it? You knew where he was, you could walk, you got to walk 2 years to get to him or her. Would you do it? Yeah. If you would do it, you should go to court, because that's how long it's going to take. So that same love you have for your kid, don't ever let it die. And have that love for the mom, because like you said, she's the one that gave you a gift. And she might not be trying to work with you at the time, but lead with love and let that kid know that you're always going to be fighting for them. Because like I said, when those differences come into play, you don't know what could happen. So you always got to keep your head clear. Have you had moments where you've always had to keep your head clear?
Oh yeah. Oh, bro. Don't even get me started. I love that metaphor though. Let's just pause on that for a second. That is one of the best metaphors I have ever heard. So let's highlight that.
2 years.
Yeah.
There you go. There's the parlor.
That's a big deal, man. And you know what? You said some things that a lot of dads don't realize. Like 2 years. It's gonna take fucking time.
Yeah.
Right? And like I see a lot of dads, even myself, I felt it. There was plenty of times where I wanted to quit. Because I show up to court and I'd be like this, bro. I kid you not. I'd be like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. I have to file custody, and I don't know where to go. And I kid you not, the clerks would be like, oh yeah, fill this out. I kid you not, I can't make this up. Fill this out. And I was like, oh hell no, I'm already losing. Right in the court. I'm already losing. Like, damn, what the hell? Like, damn it, I just got here, And it took me 8 years, man. My son's down here right now listening to this whole thing. I got 90% custody of him. Wow. It was one of the craziest battles of my entire life. One of the hardest days of my life, man. And I'm telling you, man, I got a background This shit brought me to my knees, crying. It just beat me. But I love the fact that you use that metaphor because it's so true, man. Like, as a man, what would you do if someone kidnapped your son? Would you walk 2 years to get him? Hell yeah, you better start walking. Yeah, like what kind of stupid there's no there. There's no option. You get your ass which way? It doesn't fucking matter.
Start walking.
Yeah. So I really love that metaphor, man. That was one of the craziest battles that I've ever been through and there was a lot of times where I had to be super patient, man, and really because of it, I started meditating. Because of it, I started walking. Because of it, I went to therapy. So there was a lot of wins for me. It was just a struggle to get there because my baby's mom's boyfriend, husband, baby daddy, whatever hell you want to call that guy, was one of the biggest piece of shits. And bro, when I tell you, one of the biggest pieces of shit,
no filter, I love it.
Yeah, like I had to withhold. Like this dude used to send pictures of my son to me, bro, and he was like, "You're just mad that I'm a better dad than you."
Wow.
I can't even tell you guys half of the stuff on here. Like literally, I can't tell you half of the stuff on here because it's so bad. But I'm telling you, the kind of shit that you guys would be like, "Bro, how did you not slam this guy?" Right? Like, I had him within feet of me, bro, and I would cry just from anger because I like hold back, yeah, because I was like, dog, I can smash this fool right now, you know. But I knew
if you did it, that would jeopardize.
Exactly.
That would jeopardize your
playing chess.
Stance.
Playing chess.
Gotta play chess.
And you know what that would do too? It would prove to everybody else that they were right.
Yeah,
exactly.
Nice.
Right.
Nice.
That I'm still that punk ass kid that can't keep it together.
Yeah.
And I had to teach my son as well. Like, hey man, like your dad can knock this guy out, no question about it. But check this out. This is the truth. I love you, and I got to do this the right way for you.
Yeah.
And that was tough, man. But a big part of it was baby mama number 2. She was a big part of my support. I think that's why we're such best friends. I think that's why we get along so well, because if it wasn't for her during that process, man, I'll be honest, I don't know how I would have done it for 8 years.
Well, I commend you on getting through it, brother, because that's a tough one. What you just said,
bro,
that's a tough one, just to stay in your ground and not jump across the table and choke this fool.
So, Fernie, I'm about to ask you a hard question. Don't hate me when I ask you this.
No, shoot, let's do it.
You ready? So, why aren't you with baby mama number 2?
I was thinking the same thing. Like,
I love that question, man. I love that.
I love that question because
I'll tell you,
me answering this question might get me laid.
We're gonna have to answer that next episode. Nah, man. All right, so check this out. I don't know what kind of family you guys, have. My experience was I grew up watching my dad beat my mom for years, and disrespecting her. I'm a big advocate. I'm a big believer. No matter how much you love someone, if you're disrespecting them and treating them a certain way in front of your kids, you got to walk away, right? Because I wish there was nights that I remember crying as what I thought was a grown ass kid, thinking, why won't you just leave him? Because I want my mom.
Yeah.
Right. Like I want my dad, and I can't get it because you two are so fucking like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That you're not even paying attention to me. So that's a big deal for me. And it was getting to the point where I was disrespecting her like that. I never put hands on her. Something I take a lot of pride in to say to this day, I've never put hands on any woman, So it was never that. It never got to that, but it did get to the whole point where I was like, man, fuck you, I'm out. Excuse my language, but I was disrespecting her like that, right?
Yeah.
I didn't want my kids seeing that. The other thing too, man, I cheated on her, and it's not something I'm proud of. You know what I mean? It's not something that I also hide, though. It's not something that I'm like, oh no, it's the truth is I cheated. I made some bad choices, and at the end of the day, she deserves better. And I love her, but I can never love her the way she deserves to be loved. And it sounds dumb because some people are like, bro, that's your escape. You're just trying to escape, and it's like, no, the truth is, I don't know how to love someone, bro. I don't. It's not something that I know how to do. I know how to love my kids, and I love my kids more than anything. I would never cheat on them. I would never leave them, right? I would destroy anybody that gets in front of me, right? Like you said, bro. Like I'm not a thug, but don't mess with my kids. Same thing, right?
Right.
But I can't put that kind of emotion, that kind of love, that kind of support
into anyone else.
To anyone else. And I don't know how.
Yeah.
So
I'm there with you. I have the
I'm
same
with you, bro.
issue. I have the same issue. I don't. My kids are my priority. They come before anyone I'm in a relationship with. Anyone. So when you're dealing with women that maybe want to be put first at a moment, and you're like, "No, homework needs to get done. I gotta handle homework. No, the kids haven't been outside in a little while. I'm taking them outside before I'm taking you outside." So yeah, I have that problem myself.
That's a tough one, man. It's a real tough one. And I think this is why a lot of people say, hey, do it the right way, right? Date, get married, then have kids. Like a lot of these things make sense to me. I'm like, oh, okay, that's why you have kids after you get married, right? Because you have to make it work. So, you know, it kind of sucks, man, because I think we're the generation, or we're in an era where divorce is so common that it's almost like a breakup these days.
Well, that's what I was gonna hop into. I got distracted. You know, you never been divorced though, but I'm listening to your second baby's mom scenario. Do you feel like the separation you guys went through is similar to a divorce? Because on a Lame Show, we always have this running battle.
Yeah.
Is a long-term relationship equivalent to going through a divorce? And we always go back and forth on it.
I think yes and no.
Right.
And here's why though. I think no, in the fact that I never made a commitment to be with her for the rest of my life. Right? Right? Like those words never came out of my mouth. Check me. So that's the reason why I say no in that sense.
Right.
But yes, because I took care of her. She stayed home. Dad went to work. You know what I mean? We had credit cards together. We had an apartment together. We had our lease together. We had all the cars together. Right? She had access to my bank accounts. We lived together for 2 years. I paid for all the doctor benefits, right? So anything that a house would have in a marriage, it's the same thing.
That's what I'm saying.
Right? Like I came home every night. You know what I mean? And it was a marriage in a sense that how we look at marriage.
Yeah. And detangling that in divorce is, or in separation in that case, is very similar to that of a marriage.
The only difference was my separation wasn't as long, it wasn't as expensive, and it wasn't as ugly, right? Because it was like, I'm out, peace, we're good. There's nothing for us to split, right? I don't have to pay alimony. We don't have to go to court. We don't have to file anything. It's just, I'm out, you're out, we're good. You know, because we got along so well, and you said it earlier, we want the kids to maintain the same lifestyle. Where we live is very expensive. She lives in a very nice area where there's a great school for the kids. So we agreed that let's keep the kids in this address and I'll pay you child support. Then we broke down the bills. Okay, what's going to be the best for you guys to maintain your lifestyle? Because I'll live in my truck. I don't care, right? You guys understand. Like we'll live in our truck at the end of the day. As long as the kids are happy, we'll do it. And so we verbally agreed to a child support. So I didn't have to go to courts and do all that stuff. Now, Ken, you did say it earlier before as well, brother, where you said go to courts, let the courts handle it. That's true. Sometimes you really do got to let the courts handle it and it sucks, but you do. Will that happen down the road? I don't know. Maybe later down the road. As of right now, we're doing great. And you know, as long as I do my part too, because I do see a lot of dudes where they're like, oh, fuck that. You don't need that money. Something about money, man. It just messes with us.
That's a good point, though. Like, although it's great now, she can always take anyone here back to court and steal the whole world. I didn't think about that.
Well, think of it like this. Men show their love through time, attention, and money. So we equate giving someone money as loving them. So that's why men get all hooked up. They get all tight about, I got to pay her money. That's why.
Yeah. And that's a sensitive subject.
Fernie, can you tell us about Dad Lives Matter? I mean, we kind of jumped in. We've been talking about you know, a lot of different topics here, but I'd love for you to share about you know, your podcast and what made you start that. And
yeah, man, let's do it. So the whole Dad Lives Matter, what happened when I started it was I started actually. Man, I'm going on 3 years of this. right? It just didn't blow up yet. So I started 3 years ago. That was an old podcast, and the reason I started it was because I felt that a lot of dads were left out, right? So, and again, I never want to take from moms. That's not the thing.
Right.
What I want to do is create awareness that we, as dads, we matter. We have feelings, right? Like just like dumb little things, man. Where it's like the baby shower was for her.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? It was a girl thing. Right? Like, yo, I want my friends to come up here and tell me, good job. Hey, you did it. Good job, bro. Like, give me a beer, right?
Yes.
Right? Like, it wasn't that. They were rubbing her belly, telling her good job. And I'm like, man, I was the one that put in the work. But
That is a
and
fact.
so little things like that where like the baby shower, when we had the baby shower, and this is like an example because her dad was like, well, this is for you. Right. And I was like, ouch, like time out. We're both responsible for that child.
Yes.
My actions are equal to her actions when it comes to that kid.
Yeah.
Right. The only difference is you're pushing. I get it. That shit looks painful. I don't ever want to go through that. I understand that.
Right.
I understand that. But at the end of the day, like we understand it's painful down the road for men, right? Because not to make this a subject, because I don't want to bring this up because there's an exception to everything. But when you separate, usually the man ends up paying child support.
Right.
Yep.
Right. So at the end, we're going to pay for it as well. Women pay for it up front. Right. And that's probably a horrible example. We might get beat up for that one.
Yeah,
so
we'll get some backlash from that one, but that's okay, Freddie.
we might get. Let's erase that one. Let's start over.
No, we're not editing.
What
We're
you
not
saying?
editing.
Like,
You're putting this out
like,
uncut.
you get what I'm saying, though. Like, there is a time for everything, right?
Yeah.
And so when this is the biggest one right here. So if you guys take anything from what I started Dad Lives Matter, this is the biggest reason. When Lauren, right, baby mom number 2 is Lauren, when she had our child, she went through what's called postpartum. Postpartum is a real thing. It's something that there needs to be more education for men, so we understand what that is, because we're not educated enough when it comes to postpartum. And there needs to be more education for men, because if you don't understand it, you can really put yourself in a situation you don't want to be in. I didn't understand it, and my kid's mom almost took her own life because I didn't understand it. And so instead of helping her up, I actually shoved her down, right?
Right.
And then guess what happened? And I know this isn't a God thing or a religious thing, but God was like, oh, okay, you don't think mental health is real? Boom, you got it now, right? And so I got some mental health. I got depression. I got anxiety. And that shit brought me to my knees as well, man. That really gave me a whole different look in life. That made me one of the most empathetic men ever. And I realized during those moments that she was going through it. There was Facebook moms, there was Instagram moms, there was moms on Facebook. I mean, you name it. There was nothing for dads.
Right.
Nothing. I was like, and all my friends, bro, forget about it. Hey, bro, I think I have depression. Oh, don't be a bitch. Get over it. Whoa, right? And I'm like, yeah, he's right. I gotta get over it, right? The truth was, no, man, I didn't have to get over it. I was really struggling, and I didn't know anywhere to go. And so what ended up happening was I grew up in a Hispanic family, and you guys have we have a very similar culture at the end of the day, right? And so
Caribbean, Hispanic.
I hope this doesn't offend anybody.
No.
Depression and anxiety is not a colored person thing; it's a white person thing,
Right.
Right, and that's how we were raised. So again, not offending anybody.
Right.
So to me, I couldn't tell my family about it, right? And then when my cousin was going through it, he's also a father, my family almost turned their back on him. And they were like, get over it. You're fine. You make money. You're doing well.
Man up.
Right. Man up, man. And it sucks, bro, because God rest his soul, he ended up hanging himself.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. He ended up hanging himself, and he left behind his kids and everybody. And that was it. At that point, I was like, I need help, and I better get fucking help right now. Because if not, that's going to be me. It doesn't matter what you would do for your kids. It doesn't matter how much you love your children, right? When depression and anxiety get you, it's over. You need help, and it's okay to get help because your kids need you.
Right.
Just like we said, would you walk 2 years to go see your kid? Well, you better go 2 years of getting therapy and help, because at the end of the day, your kids need you.
That's a
right?
fact. That's a
Yeah,
fact.
and it's there's nothing non-manly about asking for help. We all struggle with it. And that was the whole reason I started Dad Lives Matter again, because at that point I realized I didn't have help. And that's when I was like, you know what? Screw this. We need to normalize mental health for men. And we need to stop this whole shit of like, I'm a big badass and all that stuff, right? That's the way I grew up. And at the end of the day, man, I cry. I cry when I watch Disney movies. I cry when I watch all these movies, right? So I know that I have feelings too, man. And when I need to be a man, I will. When I need to be a man, I will be a man.
Right.
Facts.
But when I need to be human, I need to be human.
Fernie, you've touched on so much in just this last couple of minutes there, and I think that I'm speaking for my guys here, and they can chime in as well. But I think that's the biggest thing that we've kind of gotten out of this show, because we started it. We've all known each other for over 20 years. All of us at this table have been 20 plus years. Some of us approaching 40, I think. But
That's awesome.
But yeah, just I mean, we all have similar experiences, and in general, men don't talk about these things, right? Like even with their closest friends, sometimes they don't share those things that are eating away at them inside. You know what I mean? As a man, you're told to man up. You're told to, just keep pushing. Just keep working. Keep doing what you're doing. You'll be fine. All right. You're right. Shake it off.
Yeah.
But we need these forums, and we need to be able to speak about how we feel, and I think that's one of the enjoyment that I think we all have gotten out of this show.
Yep.
And definitely speaking with you, and I encourage all of our listeners to check you guys out at Dad Lives Matter as well. I think it's very, very important.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We're killing the thought process of you always have to man up. Two things I'm fighting for: letting men know that they can go to therapy, and that in the mornings you can sit on the toilet and pee and still be a man.
No, I don't sit on a fucking toilet.
I'm lazy.
Stay your ass up.
I'm lazy.
I like the first one. Second one, I'm going to pass on. You can stand
man.
up in peace, though.
And that's a big deal. Like, we really do need to normalize this stuff, man. This stuff really does need to get normalized. It doesn't need to be frowned upon, the way it is.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about Dad Lives Matter. I want to create awareness. I want to say, hey, we go through this stuff. We have all these feelings, and it's okay. It's okay not to be okay. And the other thing you said earlier is like, damn, I felt when I was saying something, you're like, I felt that.
Yeah.
Right. And when you don't feel alone, when you're like, I felt that too, when you don't feel alone, it makes you feel better.
I like that.
Okay, I'm not alone.
Yeah. Other people feel the same way I do.
Yeah, exactly. Other people feel the same way I do. And that's the whole thing with Dad Lives Matter. It's like you want to make that what is that word that I'm looking for? That common ground as well. Like,
Connection.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, man. Well, Fernie, we're gonna wind this down now. We're shooting all day. We have some other people in the wings, but listen, the door is open. We'd love to have you back on the show at a future date. I always love your energy in the clubhouse and then just talking to you on IG. Do you want to say a few words about your how to find you on your social media, and then we're gonna wrap up?
Yeah, man. Before I do my ats and all that fun stuff, like, thank you guys for having me on here. This whole Dad Lives Matter, like, no matter if I started or didn't, I still struggle. And these last couple months, I've actually been struggling, and I've been dealing with a lot of things. And I think talking and having this podcast in this moment, I'm like, oh, cool. I feel better. Like, I'm letting a lot of this stuff out again.
Yeah.
And so, definitely thank you guys for letting me be on here. And, I hope that starts promoting this to other men, where it's like, dude, just find someone to talk to.
Right.
Let it out. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so big thanks for you guys, man. I love the energy. I love that you guys are doing this as a team, as a group. That shit's dope, man. I stand behind that. As far as my you can find me on TikTok. That's our big platform at Dad Lives Matter. Let me just verify. Yep, Dad Lives Matter. And then on Instagram, I'm just using my personal page at this point. That way people can actually get an insight on me and who I am.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not anything special. I'm just another dude doing things that dudes do. It's Fernie, Ferny, Fernie Merida, Merida. And then the podcast is Dad Lives Matter, YouTube Dad Lives Matter, and Patreon is Dad Lives Matter.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, Fernie.
Thank you,
Want to
sir.
take a talk?
Of
You want to
course,
take a
man.
talkie?
Appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
Yes,
This
sir.
has been therapeutic, man. This is therapy.
Yeah, I
therapy
almost
for all
got
of us.
emotional today. I never get
Therapy,
emotional.
bro. This is how we get it. This is
Yeah,
how we
yeah,
started,
yeah.
right? Having these conversations. So hopefully this has been therapeutic for you. I think it's been for me and my guys over here.
yeah,
so.
yeah.
Sir.
All right, well, this was a touching one. Had to hold back some tears here. But thank you for listening to The Lame Show. We hope you enjoyed the show today. Thank you, Fernie, for hanging out with us. If you haven't done so already, guys, go back and listen to all 25 episodes. Comment, let us know your thoughts and feedback. If you want to support the show, we'd love you to as well. Go to buymeacoffee.com/The Lame Show. We're now accepting sponsorship, $5 a drink, $10 a month for a yearly sponsorship. Like Fernie, we are on all social media platforms, IG, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, you name it, we're on it. All right. You guys want to add anything else as we
That's
wrap
it.
this up?
That's it.
do
Thanks
it.
again,
Yeah,
Fernie.
yeah.
We
Thank you.
appreciate you and look to touching base with you again.
Yeah, man. I hope to see you guys soon.
Thank you,
All
sir.
right.
All right,
Take
talk to you
care.
soon.
Later, guys.
Thanks again.